The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The country records more than 6,700 new COVID-19 cases today. This brings the total number of COVID cases to over 1,138,000. Some 56,000 of these cases are still active. Now, at least 93 COVID patients unfortunately did not survive the COVID-19, but almost 9,000 patients recently recovered from the disease. The R0, or reproduction number, in Metro Manila continues to decrease after the region was placed under stricter quarantine measures. This is according to the latest report of the Octa Research Group. From 0.70 last week, NCR's current R0 is at 0.57, while the positivity rate in the region was down to 12%. Metro Manila records 1,644 average new COVID cases per day, which is a 30% decrease over the past week. Octa also reported that Caloocan, Malabon, Manila, and Navotas are now under moderate risk. The group noted that the city's average daily attack rate reduced below 10 per 100,000 cases. Now, to discuss more about COVID-19 trend, we have Octa Research Fellow, Professor Guido David on the line. Sir, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Riza.
Sir, how significant is the drop in COVID-19 cases?
Well, actually, it's significant. It's decreasing by, well, it's not decreasing by 30% every week, but it's decreasing by at least around 20% every week. And this week, past week, the reduction was by 30%. And compared to the peak of the surge, it has decreased by around 70%. So, and that's very good because at our peak, the daily attack rate was around 40, which was actually almost comparable to the daily attack rate that we're seeing in some of the Asian countries that are having a surge right now. So it is significant because we have gotten out of a really bad situation.
So Guido, is the decline in cases primarily due to the restrictions or COVID-19 vaccinations?
Oh, it's not. It's probably not yet due to the vaccinations, although, of course, having maybe 1 million vaccinations in the NCR might have helped a little bit. But it's probably not yet due to the vaccinations because we expect that the cases will be really controlled once we vaccinate 30 to 50% of the population.
Sir, with that being said, vaccines are, Carlito Galvez said, they aim to reach herd immunity at least in NCR by November. Do you think that's the soonest we can achieve that?
That's possible with the amount of vaccines that we expect to receive before the end of the year. We haven't yet double-checked if it's logistically possible because it's one thing to, I mean, the supply side is one part of the equation. The other is how fast can we actually vaccinate people and, how many people can we vaccinate every day. So it remains to be seen. We're actually doing the calculations regarding this, and we'll probably have a paper about it sometime by next week, perhaps.
Sir, can you give us updates on the areas outside NCR Plus that were reported to have an increase in COVID-19 cases?
Yes, we're still seeing high numbers in Zamboanga City and also Cagayan de Oro. They're not only having high numbers, but they're having high positivity rates. And also in Puerto Princesa, we're seeing low numbers over the past few days. So the increase has not been sustained. But at the same time, we're actually concerned because we're seeing a 77 positivity rate in Palawan. And this is concerning because perhaps they're not testing enough right now.
Sir, what's your reaction to the detection of new cases of COVID-19 variant from India?
Well, of course, we never want new variants to be coming in the country. So that's concerning. But at the same time, we have reason to believe that There's no widespread community transmission yet for these variants. And we believe that the reason that there's no community transmission was because these cases actually came in during ECQ and MECQ. So it actually helped us prevent the spread of these variants. But if they had come in, sometime when GCQ or maybe MGCQ was in effect, it's possible that they might have spread more readily. But right now, we're not seeing any effects yet of these variants, or if they have been spread around NCR. So we'll continue to monitor if there will be any possible upticks in cases over the next few weeks.
Sir, today is the first day of GCQ in heightened restrictions. Do you think the shift is a good idea, and will there be any changes in Octa's projections?
Well, actually, we think that it's a good idea because we're trying to balance public health with economy, and we cannot stay in lockdown forever. So this is actually a good time to take the calculated risk of opening up businesses, so we can start economic recovery for certain businesses. And at the same time, the easing of restrictions is calibrated. It's gradual, and this is in accord with some of our recommendations to ease restrictions gradually. So as long as we don't open up too quickly, it should be okay. Of course, there will always be a risk, but we believe that the risk is calculated at this time. We're hoping that the trends will continue, that the numbers will continue to go down. We're hoping that in 2 weeks, NCR will be tallying less than 1,000 cases per day. Right now, it's at 1,600, as you reported. So we're hoping that it will continue the trend, the downward trend that we're seeing.
Surely hope for the same. Thank you so much for your time as always. That's Octa Research Fellow, Professor Guido David. Public health expert and virologist says vaccines are clearly working against COVID-19 as they hope that more people will get vaccinated in the coming days. Let's get more details from this Bloomberg report.
Obviously, this is a fantastic way to encourage people to get vaccinated, tell them that they don't have to wear masks as much. Is it also risky? Just 6 weeks ago, Dr. Rochelle Walensky was warning about impending doom.
I think we have to balance the idea that we want to show people that there are going to be benefits from getting vaccinated. We have to balance that with the fact of we still want to control this virus, and there are still many parts of the country that have rates of virus that are too high. But overall, the vaccination campaign, probably combined with the warm weather that's coming, has resulted in a pretty dramatic reduction in virus spread here in the U.S. And we need to power through. People have mentioned this 70% of the adult population number. We need to continue to power through and get to as high a level as possible. And hopefully this is one of those things that will help us get there.
I must admit I'm excited about the prospect of not having to wear a mask all the time. But at the same time, I also cast a nervous eye toward India, toward the UK, where the variant first found in India is spreading. Should that make me nervous, even if I'm vaccinated?
Well, I like to think of things in two ways. In terms of the general public, you shouldn't be worried right now. The vaccines that are here in the U.S. are covering all the variants that we've seen right now. The situation in India, it's a tragedy of the exponential proportions. But what's going on in India sort of mirrors the other things that are going on with variants in this country. Those are things that keep me up at night, or in this case, maybe get me up early in the morning, because we as scientists want to continue to monitor this virus, see how it's changing, and look for those changes in the virus that are causing it to be either more easily transmissible or evade vaccine immunity. But right now, the vaccines that we have here in the U.S. are working really, really well against all variants out there. So the general public right now shouldn't be concerned about this. They should just continue to get out there and line up to get those vaccines in their arms.
Andrew, I'm so excited to have you, especially on a day like today. So thank you so much for waking up early for us. When you look at what we know about the vaccines, so they protect you. They have a good efficacy rate. If I catch it, because people are still testing positive even if they're vaccinated, can you still pass it on to someone? Do you transmit it without catching it yourself?
Yeah, this is some of the great data that has come out since the clinical trials. It certainly looks like, particularly in the case of the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines, that you're much less likely to get infected and pass the virus on if you're vaccinated. We're seeing a focus on the cases of people who are vaccinated and gotten infected, but we really have to put that into context and compare it to the millions of other people that have been vaccinated and have not had any signs of infection. So I think these vaccines have really come out to be fantastic, probably better than I would have ever hoped to have been in terms of protecting against severe disease, regular symptomatic disease, and now we're seeing the data that says it's even protecting from transmission. So things are working. It's still not a bad idea to have a mask around. Groups are always an issue still right now because you want to make sure that you're not coming into contact with large numbers of unvaccinated people. But these vaccines are really working, and that message really has to get out there to the general population. They're safe and they're efficacious, and they're turning the corner on this pandemic, at least here in the U.S.
Now, for more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.